On this episode of Custom Fab Garage, we're going to be doing like a tutorial or buyer's guide for what the differences are between remote starts. There's so many different ones, so many different brands, so many different features. Today we want to kind of go over all the different things with these different remote starts so that everybody can understand the differences between an alarm, a remote start, what a bypass does, integration module, all these things that everybody talks about but customers do not understand. This is what we're going to go over today with all these different products that we have in front of us. The first things we're going to talk about is the three different types that are available on the market today. You're going to have your remote start, a remote start with alarm, and just alarm. You have to understand that when you purchase these, if you want to add on an alarm later, the best scenario is to buy the remote start alarm together. Otherwise, you will have to take everything out and completely redo the install to be able to make it a remote start alarm. People need to understand that for security, you can just get an alarm. If you want just a remote start, you can buy just a remote start. You don't need to purchase a security system if you don't plan on doing the security system or alarm. You can buy just a remote start. A lot of people get confused on this. So if you look at First Tech, they offer theirs in the red box. You know, this is a universal security system. Basically, this is called the 7A. They refer to it, the 7300. This is just alarm only. And if you go over here to the blue box, this unit is a 7AS 7000. This unit is alarm and remote start. This is the unit, if you want to add an alarm or remote start, you have to do this unit. You do not want to put a security system in there and then later on tell the customer, oh, I want to go ahead and add a remote start. We would have to take that unit out and then put this unit in. So you want to make sure that you know the difference between a remote start and an alarm. Most people don't. The other things that you need to look at is what is going to be the end result of this remote start or alarm. Do you want to have a two-way, a one-way? Do you want to add a drone, which you can control from your smartphone? That's one of the best things that you can do now. That is the most important question that you want to ask yourself. Is 1,200 feet, 1,500 feet going to be enough? If that is the case, you can go with a single way, one way. If you want 3,000 to 5,000 feet, you're going to need to go with two-way. There's a big difference between a one-way and a two-way. One-way will send out the signal. The remote start will remote start. Typically, the parking lights will flash so that way it lets you know that the vehicle started. With a two-way, either an LCD or an LED, you can actually remote start the vehicle and it will come back and let you know on the remote that it has remote started. Same situation with this drone piece. It will also let you know, come back to your smartphone and let you know that it's remote started. That's a very important feature to have that most people don't understand that you can have that nowadays, so that way you don't have to look out your window and see if it's remote started or the parking light's flashing. You can be inside of a building, you know, larger building like Walmart or Lowe's. You're not going to have the capability with a one-way to be able to get through that building to remote start your vehicle at the end of the parking lot. That's where a two-way would come in handy. The third situation is going with the drone, because you can start it anywhere in the nation. You can be anywhere in the US and start your vehicle. You can unlock, lock, you can actually even vehicle track it with the drone. So that's a very big feature to have. These are all things that you need to understand before purchasing a remote start. Ask yourself these questions, because once you put them on there, you have to remove whatever you have on there to be able to take off to put the new part on if that is what you're wanting. You can't take a one-way and put a two-way remote on without removing the one-way remote and antenna and then putting a two-way remote and antenna on. These are questions you need to ask yourself or talk to your customer about beforehand, so that way they don't get the remote start or yourself doesn't get the remote start and say, this isn't enough range for me, I need something a little bit farther than this. Now you have to take everything back out and redo it. That's why I always ask customers beforehand, do you work in a hospital? Do you work, you know, at a place like Lowe's or Walmart where you're going to have to start your vehicle at the back of there? Customers come to me all the time and say the same thing. I just want it to start from my house. Understandable. I want it to start from inside my house as well. Well, if your driveway is only 100 feet long, that's not a big problem for 1,200 feet. But what happens when you go to the grocery store? What happens when you go to Walmart or Meijer and you want to start your vehicle from inside there? Then it becomes a problem with a one-way. What happens when you're at the hospital or you go to see somebody and they work somewhere far away as well? That's where it's always, you have to ask yourself these questions before you buy these products, because the what ifs or I might need it once or twice, becomes a problem when a customer says, hey, why didn't you offer this beforehand? I definitely agree with them. That's something that you always need to ask yourself.